Hey guys, it's Nick from Begin Fit, and today we're going to go through exactly how to do the foam roller. So a lot of you guys obviously who train at the gym or do any kind of martial arts can get a bit tight in certain areas. You'll find especially in like the lower back, the top of your back, in your hips and stuff like that. So today we're going to go through exactly how to use one of these bad boys. Now before I get started, there are lots of different types of foam rollers you can get. So you can get long ones, obviously short ones like this. Mine is actually bobbled. It's got all these little ridges in it. You can get some that are completely flat. Now it doesn't matter too much. If there's a difference between not getting one and getting one, then it doesn't matter, just buy one. That is the first point that we want to make. Second thing is, if you can, try to get one that's not too hard a rubber. You get some that are very, very hard. Now, they're good because they really put a lot of pressure on the point of contact, but you can actually bruise the skin if you have a foam roller that is too hard and you put too much pressure. You can start to bruise the skin and break some of that tissue down, which isn't exactly what we want to do. We want to loosen off the muscles, we want to disperse that lactic acid that's built up, but we don't necessarily want to break down actual tissue to the point where we're getting abrasions and bruises and stuff like that. So this one, even though it's got ridges, it is quite a soft foam, but if you apply enough pressure, you can fill these ridges in the areas that you need. So my personal reference would be to get one that has ridges and that is not too tough a rubber. So the first thing that we want to do is place the foam roller on the floor, and now we are going to make sure that the foam roller is directly in the middle of our upper back. So we're going to start by loosening off the shoulders, loosening off all around the shoulder blades. So foam roller down, make sure that it fits nicely in the middle of our back. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to hug ourselves. We're going to do it like a bear hug, not squeezing, but just trying to stretch your shoulders round as much as you can. So we're here, and you're just going to go up onto your feet. Now, one of the key points to foam rolling, a lot of people think that you have to just roll back and forward, keep going, keep the momentum going. You don't. What I want you to do is I want you to move slowly down your back, so obviously to push yourself up, and then when you find a point where it feels like it's getting a bit tough and that your muscles are fighting against the foam roller, I want you just to stop in that position. Now what that's going to do is, if you just keep rolling over something, your muscle is just going to keep fighting it and rebounding it off, that kind of idea. So what we want to do is we want to apply constant pressure on that point of contact that's causing us pain, and literally just let it slowly die down. Say the pain is roughly around an 8 or a 9, you want to let it die down to say a 2 and a 3. Slowly increase the pressure again back onto that, so up the amount of pressure you're pushing. Let that pain slowly die down again before moving on. So we don't want to just keep rolling back and forward. That is very, very important. Okay guys? We're in this position. Hug ourselves, lay this so it's at the top of our back. Now if you hear some cracking, don't worry, it's just because where your vertebrae is tight and compact together, it'll just separate it. So you might get a bit of cracking, that's not to worry. So we go up onto our feet, we're just going to roll slowly down. Slowly back up. Until we get to a point like this. So, slightly on my right side, there's a point. Just apply a bit of pressure. I'm going to hold that position. Letting the pain die off, and I'm going to slowly roll just find the position next to it that is slightly tight and hold that position. Wait for that to die down and then slowly roll off of it. If you find another position, I want you to stop and hold this. So, this is how we're going to work on the top of the back. So, you're going to want the foam roller to be placed in the middle. You're going to roll your back down it, and like I said, when you find a spot, even if you just have to have a slight sidewards motion, side to side, just until you feel with your back rounded, you feel a point that is hurting. Sometimes you'll find that you're say pushing in this area and you'll feel a pain further down your arm. That's a sign of it's pulling from all these different angles and pulling all the muscles tight, so you're just loosening off all of the tissue around, not just that single point of contact, okay? So this is how we're gonna foam roll the top of the back, slowly moving up and down. As soon as you find a point, I want you to stick to it, slowly work that point out, apply a little bit more pressure, work it out, move on. So you can do this, you can hold it up to about 10-15 seconds before I slowly move on, and then if it's still causing you pain, go back to it, but I wouldn't put it under constant pressure for a prolonged time all at once, just because it can start to aggravate it and have a bit of the adverse effect. It'll start tightening back up again because you're not letting it relax after it's been under some tension. Okay, so next point, we're going to look at our lower back. Exactly the same rule applies here. So we'll be here, going to make sure that the foam roller fits nicely in our lower back, and what I want you to do is to start with, I want you to take your arms above your head and lay over the foam roller, okay? Just stretching out that vertebrae. So we're here, going to lay over it, take our arms back. Just for a second, let your lower back loosen off and your hips open slightly. And then I want you to hug yourself. And again, just rolling on that top bit. As soon as you find a point, hold it. Now if you can tell in my voice, so I can speak to you guys, it will hurt. If you're foam rolling and it isn't hurting, then you're not finding those points. I've got a bit of problems with my lower back, so foam rolling is something that I try and do at least 3 to 4 times a week, just focusing on that lower back area, trying to just work out those niggly little areas I've got. So if wherever you're working, if it's not causing any discomfort, you're either not on a point of contact where the tissue is tight and needs loosening off, or you're not applying enough pressure, or you're not doing it right. Basically, it should feel uncomfortable and it should hurt really. So we're here, gonna loosen off. This way, let your hips just dip. Doesn't matter if the top of your back touches the floor, we're just letting your lower back just loosen off here. And then we're gonna grab, pull ourselves up and work onto those points. Right. Now, we're gonna move on to the lats up here, okay? So your lats are what can give you the V-tape of the wide back, as well as a slim waist. And they tie in from your side here into your obliques, all the way up into your rhomboids and down into your lower back. So what we're going to do, obviously you hit the back portion of your lats from doing those 2 exercises, but for this one we're going to be looking a lot more on the side of our lats here. So obviously put the foam roller down, going to lay onto our side. Going to take our arm above our head. Now this one, if you find a point, it can be very uncomfortable, especially because obviously it ties in with your chest here, your shoulders, everything ties in together at the top, at the back here, so it can be very tight and very uncomfortable, so just bear that in mind. So we're here, Now, you can keep your hips on the floor to start with until you're ready to apply a bit more pressure, and just roll up. And then when you do, just want you to lift this hip and put the pressure onto your feet or your knees here. So you're keeping that pressure on. Found a spot already, so I'm going to hold that. And I'm going to move on. Found another spot just next to it. I'm going to hold that. Try and keep your arm nice and relaxed and keep your body relaxed. Even though it hurts, we don't want to start tensing, because again, we'd just be fighting against what we're trying to do. We're trying to loosen and relax the muscles. We don't want to fight against them. So, before I go out of camera shot, we're hitting it as soon as we find the point, like I've reiterated 100 times. Keeping on that position, and then when that pain starts to die down, either just readjust on that same position just for one more time, roughly about 10 to 15 seconds, and then slowly move on to the next point that is feeling tight.